Most gardens die the moment you stop working them. A food forest is built to feed you for the next 50 years, without you ever picking up a shovel again. If you've ever come home from 2 weeks away to a garden full of weeds and dead tomato plants, you already know the problem. Row gardens demand constant labor, every single year. A food forest is designed to need almost none. A food forest isn't a metaphor, it's a real design system, borrowed directly from how wild forests grow food without anyone tending them. Instead of one crop in one row, you stack 7 layers of edible plants on top of each other in the same space, all working together. Trees feed shrubs. Shrubs feed the soil. The soil feeds everything. Once it's established, it runs itself. Pest control, fertilizing, even watering become mostly automatic. And unlike an annual vegetable garden, you're not starting from zero every spring. Every year the system gets more established, more resilient to drought, and more productive, without you spending more money on seeds, soil amendments, or replacement plants. But here's the part almost nobody tells you. Get the layer order wrong, and your food forest fights itself instead of feeding you. Layer 1 is the canopy, your tallest fruit and nut trees, spaced to let real light through. Think standard apple, pecan, or chestnut trees. These aren't just food producers, they're the structural backbone that shelters everything planted beneath them. Layer 2 is the low tree or understory layer, dwarf and semi-dwarf fruit trees like peach, fig, or pawpaw, planted in the gaps between canopy trees. This is where most beginners go wrong. They plant understory trees too close to the canopy, and both trees end up starved for light. Rule of thumb, leave enough space that a mature canopy tree's shadow doesn't fully cover an understory tree at midday. The right species changes by climate. Cold climates lean on apple, pear, or hickory. Temperate zones do well with chestnut, walnut, or persimmon. Warmer, subtropical yards can run avocado, citrus, or mulberry as the canopy instead. Match the species to your zone before anything else, because a canopy tree that struggles in your climate drags down every layer planted beneath it. As a general spacing guideline, canopy trees typically need 15 to 25 feet between trunks depending on the species, while understory trees can go in the gaps at roughly half that distance. Now here's where it gets interesting. The next 2 layers are doing more work than the trees are. Layer 3 is your shrub layer: currants, blueberries, elderberry, raspberries. These fill the mid-height gap and give you fast returns while your trees are still maturing, sometimes fruiting in year 2 instead of year 5. For the shrub layer, don't overlook nitrogen-fixing options like sea buckthorn or gumi. They feed themselves and everything around them, which means less compost and fertilizer you have to buy and haul in. Layer 4 is the herbaceous layer, perennial herbs and vegetables that die back and return every year without replanting. Asparagus, rhubarb, comfrey, perennial kale. This layer does double duty. Comfrey especially isn't just food. Its deep roots pull nutrients up from the subsoil, and its leaves make free fertilizer when you chop and drop them. And the herbaceous layer isn't just food, it's also where most of your soil building happens. Comfrey, yarrow, and clover cycle nutrients, so the trees above them aren't competing with bare soil for what little organic matter is there. This is your first real taste of the system feeding itself. The last 3 layers are the ones almost every beginner skips, and skipping them is exactly why their food forest turns into a jungle instead of a system. Layer 5 is groundcover: strawberries, clover, creeping thyme. It physically covers bare soil so weeds can't get a foothold, which is most of your long-term weeding eliminated in one move. Layer 6 is the root layer: underground crops like Jerusalem artichoke, potatoes, or edible ginger, using vertical space no other layer touches. Choose crops with shallow, non-competing root systems like garlic or shallow alliums near young trees, saving anything deep-rooted like Jerusalem artichoke for guilds with a fully mature canopy. Layer 7 is the vine layer: grapes, kiwi, passion fruit, climbing up your canopy trees themselves instead of taking up separate ground space. One thing people get wrong here: training a vine up a young canopy tree too early can actually strangle it before the trunk is strong enough to support the weight. Wait until your canopy tree is at least 3 years established before letting a vine climb it. Skip layers 5 and 6, and you'll spend years fighting weeds and wasting the one resource a small yard can't afford: square footage. A thick layer of wood chip or straw mulch across all of this does double duty. locking in soil moisture through summer heat and slowly breaking down into the exact organic matter your canopy trees need. Okay, you know all 7 layers, but layers alone don't make a food forest work. This next part is what actually makes it self-sustaining. A food forest isn't 7 layers planted randomly on top of each other. It's built in guilds, small clusters of plants, one from each layer, chosen because they help each other. The classic example is an apple tree guild, the apple as canopy, comfrey underneath pulling nutrients and suppressing weeds, daffodils around the base to repel burrowing pests, and clover as ground cover fixing nitrogen straight into the soil for free. Every plant in that guild is doing a job for the others. A second example, if you're in a warmer climate, a citrus guild built around a dwarf lemon or lime tree, underplanted with nitrogen-fixing lupine, borage to attract pollinators, and a ground cover of nasturtium, which also repels aphids. Same principle, different climate. Every guild is really just answering the same 3 questions. What feeds the soil, what feeds the tree, and what protects both? This is the actual mechanism behind self-sustaining. It's not magic, it's just smart plant partnerships doing the maintenance you'd otherwise be doing yourself. Now, before you start digging, this is the mistake that wastes more first attempts than anything else. You do not need acreage. A single backyard guild can fit in a 15-foot circle, and most suburban yards have room for 3 or 4 guilds without touching the lawn you actually use. The real mistakes are these: planting everything at once instead of establishing the canopy first, choosing trees not suited to your climate zone, and spacing guilds too close together so mature canopies fight for the same light. There's a 4th mistake worth naming: collector's syndrome. Buying one of every interesting plant you find online instead of sticking to a guild structure. A food forest with 40 random species and no guild logic behaves like chaos, not a system. Discipline in the design phase is what makes the low-maintenance payoff real later. Start with 1 guild, get it right. Then expand. A food forest is meant to be built in phases, not planted in a single weekend. So how long until you're actually eating from this? Here's the honest timeline nobody gives you. Year 1 is establishment. You're planting canopy and understory trees, mulching heavily, and your shrub and herbaceous layers are already giving you small harvests. Year 2 through 3, your shrubs hit full production: berries, currants, asparagus. Year 4 through 5, your understory fruit trees start bearing meaningfully. Year 7 and beyond, your canopy trees mature into full production, and by then the system needs almost no input from you. The guilds are self-fertilizing, self-mulching, and largely self-defending against pests. It's worth being honest about the psychology here too. The first 2 years can feel slow because you're mostly watching trees establish root systems you can't see. That's normal, and it's exactly why starting your shrub and herbaceous layers alongside your trees matters. You get real harvests in year 1 and 2, which keeps the project rewarding while the canopy does its invisible work underground. This isn't an overnight project. It's a compounding investment that gets more self-sufficient every single year you don't touch it. Climate also shifts this timeline. A food forest in a longer, warmer growing season can compress these stages by a year or 2, while colder climates with shorter seasons may need an extra year at each stage. Still think this only works on a big property? Here's a real backyard proving otherwise. Picture a standard quarter-acre suburban lot. 2 dwarf fruit trees as your understory anchors, 3 guilds built around them with berries, perennial herbs, strawberry ground cover, and climbing grapes trained up a fence line instead of a trellis you have to build separately. To put real names to it, a dwarf apple and a dwarf peach as your 2 understory anchors, blueberries and raspberries in the shrub layer, comfrey and strawberries filling in underneath, and a single grapevine trained along the back fence line. That's 5 plant types, 3 guilds, and a full food forest, on a lot most people would still call ordinary. That's a functioning food forest in a space most people would call too small, producing fruit, herbs, and vegetables from spring through fall, with weeding and watering needs dropping every year as the ground cover and mulch layers take over. The size of your yard was never the limiting factor. The design was. If you're ready to actually start, here's the exact order to do it in. Before step 1, there's a step 0 worth doing, a basic soil test. Knowing your soil's pH and drainage before you plant tells you which trees will actually thrive in your specific yard, instead of guessing and replacing a dead tree 2 years in, which costs more time than the test ever will. Step 1. Map your sun. Watch your space for a full day and note where you get 6+ hours of direct light. That's your canopy zone. Step 2. Pick 1 to 2 canopy or understory trees suited to your climate zone, not whatever looks good online. Step 3. Build 1 guild around each tree, 1 shrub, 1 herb, 1 ground cover, minimum. Step 4. Mulch heavily and let the herbaceous and ground cover layers establish before adding anything else. Step 5. Wait, observe and expand 1 guild at a time each following season. That's the entire system. No acreage, no special equipment, just layers, guilds and time. One more thing before you go. This next part matters more than anything else in this video. If this changed how you think about your own backyard, subscribe. This channel breaks down one growing system like this every single week. Fully explained, no fluff. And I want to know, how much space are you actually working with? A quarter acre, a small backyard, or even just a patio? Drop it in the comments because next week's video is going to build a food forest guild specifically for small spaces, based on what you tell me. If you want the full guild building walkthrough with exact plant pairings, that video's linked right here. Go watch it next.